wanted for killing 5 people at a Washington State mall, picked up by police.
He said nothing. He was kind of zombie-like.
Who he is and how they got him, all this as we learn more about the horrifying shooting.
New videos of the shooting in Charlotte. Police feeling the pressure and releasing the video of the moment they opened fire on Keith Lamont Scott. The new angles and what they show.
It does not make sense to us. How was possible that this incident resulted in the loss of life?
He gripped his hand.
Where the investigation stands right now.
Flash of the candidates, their date with the debate now just 1 day away. Hillary Clinton offering a front seat to Donald Trump's nemesis, while he threatens to bring a woman from Bill Clinton's past. Will things get even uglier on stage in this high-stakes showdown?
And rivers rising, evacuations underway as eastern Iowa braces for one of the worst floods in its history. Towns already underwater, homes destroyed, the rivers ready to crest, making misery for days to come.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Good Sunday morning, everyone. We want to thank you for joining us, but we want to jump right into the breaking news overnight. An arrest in that deadly mall shooting in Washington State.
Yeah, there's the mugshot of the suspect. His name is Archon Seaton. He's 20 years old. Police say he walked into the Cascade Mall in Burlington, Washington, opened fire and killed 5 people inside of a Macy's.
This morning, ABC News has identified a MySpace page that apparently belongs to Seaton and contains pictures of him posing with various firearms.
Police say they were able to track him down through tips and security footage. The arrest coming just as a prayer service was being held for the 5 victims. ABC's Neil Karlinski is right there in Burlington, Washington with the latest this morning. Neil, good morning to you.
Dan and Paula, good morning. That's right. They were able to zero in on the suspect through tips and also security cameras here in the mall parking lot. They were able to identify his car and track it to a nearby town where they found him not hiding out, but simply walking around. The arrest happened without a single shot fired.
He was right there walking. I'm detained.
Suspected Cascade Mall shooter, 20-year-old Archon Seaton, a recent high school graduate and grocery bagger, according to his Facebook page.
I saw an individual walking northbound on the sidewalk, and I instantly recognized. I did an abrupt U-turn, hit my lights, pulled my gun, and took the individual into custody. They found him in Oak Harbor, Washington, a small Navy community about 40 minutes away from the shooting. Officers spotted him simply walking down the street. He said nothing. He was kind of zombie-like. He did not have a weapon with him. He had a satchel, leather satchel, appeared to be a computer inside the bag. Police arrested Seaton almost exactly 24 hours after the shooting rampage inside this Macy's. 4 women and 1 man shot to death near the makeup department. A MySpace page apparently belonging to Seaton shows several pictures of him posing with various firearms. Hours earlier, police had released new images from inside the mall. Seaton, they say, in a t-shirt and shorts, no tactical gear, and nothing to make him stand out before allegedly opening fire.
Reports of 3 to 4 down inside. So I got 1 rifle left in this area empty.
To see it happen 20 feet away from you is just, it's insane to me. It's crazy. And I never thought that I would be in that position to be staring at somebody who is losing their life, and I can't do anything about it.
The victims range in age from a teenage cancer survivor to a senior citizen. Police are looking into reports Seaton's ex-girlfriend may have worked at the Macy's, but for now, the motive remains unknown. The suspect is from Turkey, but is a legal resident of the United States. There is no believed link to terrorism at this point, and the suspect will make his first court appearance on Monday. Paula?
Yeah, that motive, the big question. Neil, thank you. The other big story this morning is the ongoing unrest in Charlotte. Vowing to pressure, the police department there released 2 videos of the fatal shooting of Keith Lamont Scott. All of this after days of protests demanding that the footage be made public. Our Eva Pilgrim has been in Charlotte all week for us. And Eva, there's a lot these videos show, but a whole lot they don't. So how are people reacting to it?
Paula, the peaceful protesters overnight saying this is not enough. They want the full video release. They have been calling for it since this shooting happened last week. Meanwhile, the city of Charlotte ramping up security for today's Panthers game, declaring it an extraordinary event, prepared for more protests now that this portion of the video is out. This morning, a first look at the police video showing the fatal shooting of Keith Lamont Scott. In the dashcam video, you see Scott get out of his SUV, walking backwards, hands by his side, when 4 shots are fired.
We got shots fired, 1 suspect down.
It does not make sense to us how it was possible that this incident resulted in the loss of life.
The body cam video showing a different angle, a uniformed officer using a baton trying to break the passenger window to get Scott out of his SUV. Scott is seen standing outside the vehicle, then the father of 7 lying on the ground, police running up with guns drawn.
He's gripping his hand,
Officers checking his pulse begin to administer aid.
Get some gloves, we need to hold the wound.
Police also releasing pictures of the evidence taken from the scene, saying Scott's DNA and fingerprints were found on the loaded gun they recovered.
There's no single piece of evidence that proves all the complexities involved in this investigative process.
What I see on the video is the failure of the police to use all of the resources that they had at their disposal to avoid killing Keith.
Family members say 43-year-old Keith Scott was just sitting in his SUV waiting to pick up his son from school. According to police, officers were in the neighborhood for an unrelated arrest warrant. They saw Scott with marijuana and a gun and made the decision to approach him.
Do those actions, do those precious seconds justify this shooting?
What we know and what you should know about him is that he was an American citizen who deserved better.
The police chief saying they will release the rest of the video when this investigation is complete. Dan.
Eva Pilgrim on the ground in Charlotte. Eva, thank you. Okay, so let's break down this newly released video now with ABC News consultant Brad Garrett, formerly with the FBI. Brad, good morning. Two things strike me from this new video. First, it's really not clear that Keith Lamont Scott is actually holding a gun. And second, his arms are at his side in the moment he was shot, as far as I can tell, and he's backing up. So do you see what I'm seeing here?
I'm seeing the same thing, Dan, so it raises the following questions. He steps out of the vehicle. As he moves backward, does his arms come up? You hear the cops yell, drop the gun, drop the gun. He apparently doesn't drop the gun, and so at some point, from their vantage point, he must have raised the gun, because I can't think of any other justification to shoot him.
Right. Is there some other tactic they could have used in that moment, like tasing him or just letting him continue to back up?
Either one is a possibility. And it also raises the bigger question is, why did you just not leave him in the vehicle and sort of wait him out?
The other thing that we see on some of the earlier videos is the gun on the ground after Scott has been shot. And some people have pointed out that the gun seems awfully far away from him. Does that raise any suspicions for you?
No, because typically you move a gun away from somebody that you've just shot or arrested for the obvious reason, so they can't reach for it if they're still conscious.
Brad Garrett, thank you very much. So many questions still in this case, but we really appreciate you helping us clarify it to the extent possible. Thanks again.
Just the beginning of those questions. Thanks, Dan. And in politics, a huge development just one day before the highly anticipated presidential debate. This race, it is tighter than ever. That's according to a new ABC News Washington Post poll that shows the candidates are just 2 percentage points apart. Hillary Clinton has 46, Donald Trump has 44. And here's a look inside the debate hall at Hofstra University in Hempstead, New York, where Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump will spar in their first of 3 presidential debates. ABC's Cecilia Vega joining us in studio with more on what we can expect tomorrow night. That's the big question, Cecilia. Good morning to you.
I think we can expect some fireworks. Paula, good morning to you. The Super Bowl of American politics now just a day away, and it is expected to draw a Super Bowl-sized audience. 100 million Americans likely to watch this showdown. But this morning, all eyes on 2 people who might be watching from the front row right inside that debate hall. I'm going to fight. T-minus 1 day to that epic face-off. The stakes couldn't be any higher, and the invite list couldn't be any weirder. After Hillary Clinton's team offered a ticket to one of the best seats in the House to Donald Trump's reality TV billionaire nemesis Mark Cuban,
I'll give you 25 grand for 33%. Just say yes.
Trump took to Twitter, threatening to offer an invitation of his own, saying, if dopey Mark Cuban of failed benefactor fame wants to sit in the front row, perhaps I will put Jennifer Flowers right alongside of him. Jennifer Flowers being the woman who had an affair with Bill Clinton decades ago. She reportedly told the New York Times, yes, I will be there. The Trump campaign would not say whether an actual invitation was extended.
We are going to show the whole world that America is back.
Trump attending a rally in Virginia, taking a break from debate preps where he's not holding mock debates, but rather question and answer sessions with advisors like former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Some aides concerned Trump hasn't spent enough time practicing and gets easily distracted. Clinton deep in briefing books and mock debates. Her team finally revealing a tightly guarded debate prep secret, the person picked to play her opponent, a longtime aide known for being shrewd and combative, Philippe Reigns.
Okay, so Jennifer Flowers might be in the audience tomorrow night. Well, Clinton's camp is weighing in, saying, quote, Hillary Clinton plans on using the debate to discuss the issues that make a difference in people's lives. It's not surprising that Donald Trump has chosen a different path. I know you're going to want to come with me, but I'm sorry I don't get any extra
Are you
tickets.
sure? Are you sure you don't have an extra ticket for me?
Yeah.
I'll hide in your luggage. Okay, I know there's so much intrigue about who's going to be there in the audience, but I want to ask you, both parties feel like they're going into this particular debate with an unfair disadvantage. So how are they trying to game the system in their favor?
They're both really trying to work the refs right now. Donald Trump has already said the system is rigged. He is going after the debate moderators, talking about which parties they may or may not vote for. Hillary Clinton is complaining about the moderators, too, saying that she doesn't feel like she'll get fair questions, that he will not have as difficult questions as her because the bar is lower for him. I just think the one thing we're going to see tomorrow night are some pretty big fireworks on that stage.
Do you think George might be able to hook me up with a ticket?
Ask him. George.
Good luck with that. Hey,
Thanks,
Cecilia, thank you. For more on that, let's bring in George Stephanopoulos. This is who's going to be hosting This Week later this morning. Let me ask you about what kind of impact you think in the end a debate like this is going to have. Our new poll shows 74% of Americans say they're going to watch, but 80% say they don't think it's going to change their mind.
Well, there are big debates about debates and how much difference they really make. Most people who've watched it for a long time believe that generally the debates don't make a big difference in these final weeks, tend to reinforce the trends that are already inside the race. Here's why this year may be different. Number one, the size of the audience, probably 100 million people, maybe more, biggest debate audience ever. Number two, voters are unusually fluid this year. Usually by this time in the race, the number of undecided voters is really about 5 to 7%. This year, it could be double that, and they're really going to be watching to see how these candidates do.
It's almost mind-boggling to think some people still haven't made up their mind, but we've been digging into this poll that shows it's tighter than ever. We want to talk about the candidates and their challenges, specifically Donald Trump. 60% see him as unqualified, untrustworthy, temperamentally unsuited, and insufficiently knowledgeable of world affairs to serve as president. Can he use this debate to overcome all of that?
Easily his biggest hurdle, but those numbers have been coming down for him. He has been making progress on that over the last month. But yeah, his job tomorrow night is to appear calm, in command, and that he knows what he's doing, knows what he's talking about. We'll see whether Hillary Clinton can call him out on that. Remember, in past debates, Donald Trump is usually one of 10, 11, 12 people on the stage, never one-on-one for 90 minutes with one moderator, and we'll see if he can actually fill up that time with policies that hold up.
It's a whole new dynamic for him. And for Clinton, really, it's all about her honesty and her health. Only 36% see her as honest and trustworthy. And after that recent bout with pneumonia, only 53% think she's in good enough health to serve as president. So can she make inroads on either of these issues?
Well, safe to say she can't afford one of those coughing fits on the stage tomorrow night. Other than that, I don't think the health is going to matter that much. But this issue of honesty and trustworthiness, her biggest hurdle, no question about that. Can she find a way in this debate to handle that liability, to appear authentic, to appear, a little more warm, but also in command and put the debate to Donald Trump?
I got to say, I'm just plain looking forward to this
It's gonna be
thing.
interesting.
It's like a combination of breaking news, the Super Bowl, and the series finale of Downton
I
Abbey.
should add one more thing. I know we're going to talk to the campaign managers today about the debates. I would be really shocked if the debate, the Commission on Presidential Debates, lets Jennifer Flowers, or for that matter, even Mark Cuban in the front row of these debates.
We'll see. This would take it definitely further into the reality TV zone. Thank you very much, George.
Guys,
really
thanks.
appreciate it.
George.
While George is here, I want to remind everybody he's got a big show this morning coming up later on this week. On the eve of the debate, he is, as he said, going one-on-one with Clinton campaign manager Robbie Mook and Trump campaign manager Kellyanne Conway, plus Libertarian presidential nominee Gary Johnson.
And a reminder, tomorrow night, George will be leading our debate coverage, joined by Martha Raddatz, David Muir, John Carl, Tom Yamas, Cecilia Vega, Byron Pitts, Matthew Dowd, and Koki Roberts. Again, that's Monday night, tomorrow night, starting at 9 Eastern, right here on ABC. Get your popcorn ready, everybody. And this morning, there is extreme concern in the Midwest as several rivers in both Iowa and Wisconsin are in major flood stages because of heavy rainfall in that region. And Rob's here with the details. Rob, that flooding is expected to get worse over the next hours and days.
Yeah, this week they've seen a tremendous amount of rain, and there's more rain coming in right now. Rivers are still high, as you mentioned, in Wisconsin and Minnesota, but the more urgent situation is in eastern Iowa, where the Cedar River continues to rise. In Cedar Rapids, the state's second largest city, it is not flooding right now, but like folks upstream have seen, tomorrow is going to be a whole nother deal. Several rivers rising dangerously high in Iowa. Cedar Rapids bracing for what could be one of the worst floods in its history.
We need to push hard these next 2 days to be fully prepared for that crest.
Pushing hard and hoping sandbags will help keep floodwaters at bay.
Everybody's out here working together as a team, trying to get all these houses saved from the water that's coming up pretty fast.
Residents beginning to evacuate before the rising waters hit Monday night.
We figured it'd be a good idea to get everything out of the basement, and now we're just getting some of the important stuff out from the main level.
We know it's a very stressful event for someone to have to leave their home.
The Cedar River at Cedar Rapids now expected to crest at 23 feet on Tuesday. Farther north in Cedar Falls, 3 days of destructive flooding already, with water critically high. The governor of Iowa issuing a state of emergency for at least 13 counties in the state.
This is a true testament of a community coming together.
Fresh in their minds, the floods of 2008, record-shattering numbers there, so they are ready for this. They are preparing for this. At this point, 23 feet is below that record stage, but looks like downtown will flood, and they are evacuating that town for at least 7 days, it looks like. And some of that water is going to get into the Mississippi, and they'll see some flooding as well. So big situation there. And this front, no slouch either, especially down across parts of Texas. Flash flood watch up there could see 3 to 4 inches of rainfall, and you got flood-prone areas like Austin and San Antonio that could see some issues, and certainly further west, we'll be watching that over the next 48 hours. Meanwhile, Santa Ana wind event, that is happening right now, the first big setup of the year. We've seen the winds blow. Thankfully, no big fires have sparked yet, but today is going to be a critical day. We'll see winds gusting in the mountains over 50 miles an hour. Very, very dry here. So high fire danger, critical fire danger, as a matter of fact, and heat advisories. Temperatures in San Francisco over 80 degrees today and tomorrow. Then eventually we'll see things cool off as those Santa Anas die down. Those are the weather headlines. Now, your local forecast. Check it out.
Well, the end of the weekend looking great for the D.C. Metro. Lots of sunshine, comfortable, and those daytime highs a little bit below average in the lower 70s. Next big change arriving Monday night, where we will be watching an advancing cold front. So that's going to increase our cloud cover and the chance for wet weather late Monday night. And the chance for showers really going to continue into this week. So keep the umbrella on hand Tuesday into Wednesday. Temperatures, though, stay seasonable for this time of year.
Live in the east, you're feeling a little bit of a fall crisp out there. It sure feels good, but it's also hurricane season. We've got something to watch in the Atlantic, so we have that in the next half hour, guys.
You're just full of good news this morning.
Well, we have lots to cover.
How does that seat feel? Because I know we're missing Ron.
Oh, God, I can get used. I do miss you,
morning.
Ron. I did, but the seat feels good.
Yeah, and we should say normally this is where we do check in with Ron for the rest of the morning's top stories. He's off again today. Hopefully you're having a good weekend, Ron. So we are going to share the news reading duties.
Or at least try to.
Yes, we will try to. And we do begin with more violence in Syria.
Yeah, it's a horrifying story. Heavy bombing has left nearly 2 million people in the city of Aleppo, Syria, with no access to clean water. The escalating air raids are even worse than they were before last week's failed ceasefire. The UN is now calling for an emergency meeting.
And in California, San Francisco 49er Colin Kaepernick joining some Oakland high school football players as they stage their own protest during the playing of the national anthem. Kaepernick has been kneeling during the national anthem since the NFL's preseason, calling it a protest of racial injustice and police brutality.
Bill Nunn, famous for his role in the Spike Lee movie Do the Right Thing, has died. Nunn played the character known as Radio Raheem. Nunn was also familiar to a lot of moviegoers as Robbie Robertson from the Spider-Man trilogy. He'd been fighting